Good evening, everyone. This is Making the Case. I'm Laverne McGee in for Yo Deep. Since word first broke of the shooting death of Ahmaud Arbery, there's been talk about the young black man seen walking around a home under construction in that Brunswick, Georgia neighborhood. Today, on this fourth full day of testimony in the trial of the three white men accused of killing Ahmaud, we heard from the man who owns that home. And as BNC's Dre Clark tells us, race and racism also took center stage today.
Larry English, the homeowner, said he was very concerned about people walking around his property because it was still under construction and it was a safety issue. He also said the black man seen on surveillance video at his home, who appeared to be Ahmaud Arbery, never stole anything. In a 4-hour-long videotape deposition, Larry English said Ahmaud Arbery never damaged his property that was under construction and he never stole anything. English said he initially installed cameras around the home after things were stolen from his boat dock. But he said between 2019 and 2020, cameras captured numerous people, including children, on the property. In some instances, English called 911. Listen to how he describes one of the intruders.
I've got a trespasser there. He's a colored guy, got real curly-looking hair, he's tattooed down both arms.
On February 23, 2020, Arbery was jogging through Satilla Shores, a majority white community. Gregory McMichael claims he recognized Arbery as one of the people seen inside English's home. Gregory, his son Travis, and neighbor William Bryan chased Arbery, claiming they were making a citizen's arrest. The chase ended with Arbery being shot and killed, and all three men later charged with murder. English testified he never spoke with the McMichaels about protecting his property.
Did you ever give them permission to go on your property, express permission?
No.
Did you ever personally tell the McMichaels about any prior incidents at your house?
Probably, I'm not sure.
Prosecutors say the McMichaels profiled Arbery and wrongfully assumed he was a criminal. Defense attorneys claim the McMichaels were protecting their community and killed Arbery in self-defense. Meanwhile,
the Right Reverend Al Sharpton managed to find his way into the back of the courtroom.
Defense attorney Kevin Goff took issue with Reverend Al Sharpton recently sitting inside the courtroom with Arbery's family.
I believe that's intimidating, and it's an attempt to pressure, could be consciously or unconsciously, an attempt to pressure or influence the jury. We don't want any more black pastors coming in here, or other Jesse Jackson, whoever was in here earlier this week.
Noticed him once, and that was it. And the fact that nobody else even noticed that he was in here means that everybody complied with this court's rulings on sitting in this courtroom.
And Goff, I don't think Goff is really up to do the right thing.
Reverend Jesse Jackson was not here in Brunswick, Georgia this week. However, today, civil rights leader Reverend William Barber was, and perhaps Goff got confused. But this is not the first time that Goff has set his sights on black people. Earlier this month, he claimed members of the black media was somehow potentially negatively influencing the jury selection process. We confronted him about that, and he looked at us and said, "No, I think you guys are doing a great job." In Brunswick, Georgia, I'm Dre Clark for Making the Case.
And now we want to talk more about what was a marathon day for the jury. Joining us now tonight is former prosecutor Leslie Ricard Chambers and criminal defense attorney Mark Davis. Glad to have you both with us. All right, you just heard Dre mentioning how much race came up today. It wasn't hidden. The attorney for William Bryan made his thoughts pretty obvious. Here's what he had to say about the presence of Al Sharpton and other activists in the courtroom this week.
The idea that we're going to be serially bringing these people in to sit with the victim's family one after another, obviously there's only so many pastors they can have. And if their pastor's Al Sharpton right now, that's fine, but then that's it. We don't want any more black pastors coming in here, or other Jesse Jackson, whoever was in here earlier this week, sitting with the victim's family, trying to influence the jury in this case.
Okay, and if that wasn't enough, Kevin Goff then went on to start a bizarre comment saying, quote, "If a bunch of folks came in here dressed like Colonel Sanders with white masks," but then the judge cuts him off before he could finish and noted that it's a public courtroom. We all wonder what he was about to say. Mark, what did you think when you heard that?
I'm shocked. I hadn't seen that. I'm shocked. And I don't know if you looked at that clip, but if you watch the people at his table while he was speaking, there was a young lady there and she just grabbed her head and she's like, oh my God, is he really saying this? That is shocking to me. It's racist, it's crazy. And I don't really know who he thought he was talking to, because my understanding is that there's only one Black juror in this entire panel. And so I'm a little taken aback that he would have said something like that. And it's just amazing to me that he would just put that out there like that.
Yeah, everybody's taken aback. Leslie, I want to hear your thoughts. Do you have any idea what he was about to say, even about Colonel Sanders?
I think that he went as far as he felt was necessary and as far as he felt like he could go. He was really pushing the envelope, but there are enough people in that courtroom who completely understood exactly what he was trying to convey. He said everything without saying it, basically. And to your point, that there's only one Black juror on this case. So, who in the world in their courtroom is going to be unduly influenced? This is the issue that we were identifying early on in this case as it pertains to how the defense utilized their peremptory challenges in removing all of those potential black jurors from this case, and now wanting to somehow backdoor some idea or concept of unfairness, that too many black people, too many notable black people are now in the courtroom, and really trying to find some highly prejudicial pursuit in eliminating that, I guess, that accountability from the Black community, if you will, because that's kind of what he's trying to get to. Knowing that this family, Ahmaud Arbery's family, is being supported by certain groups, by obviously mostly being supported by Black folks who are either professionals or family members, and just trying to somehow suppress that and to reduce the harm that these defendants have committed against this family and obviously Ahmaud Arbery. And this is one more indication of the biases that have been established from the beginning of this case, from the initial investigation, if you will, of this case, and up until this point.
Yeah, it's still so shocking to think that he said that. But I want to go now to witness testimony today. Let's start by listening closely to a part of Larry English's testimony that we just heard in Dre's report. You'll recall he's the man that actually owns the house under construction that they supposedly thought Arbery was stealing from. Now, English says several people there have trespassed on his property throughout the years. And here he is describing one of those people in a 911 call from back in 2019. Let's listen.
I got a camera system there, and I got a trespasser there. He's a colored guy, got real curly-looking hair. He's tattooed down both arms, and he's over there kind of wandering around. I don't know what's going on. I was just wondering if you could send a deputy or somebody out to check him out for me, please.
I want to hear both your reactions to what we just heard. Leslie, you go first. What does this tell us about this community where Ahmaud was killed?
What it tells in totality of all of the testimony that we've heard from this deposition is that, again, to reiterate my comments about the established biases in this case, testimony from this deposition that Ahmaud was not the only person who was home, that there was a white couple, and there were even some young children who apparently went into this home and took some boards, if you will, and they were praised by this homeowner for taking those boards. And so, moving forward with Ahmaud Arbery entering into the property and not taking anything at all, but being alarmed enough to call law enforcement to say that something is, or to suggest rather that something is happening or something may be happening, right? And so, clearly establishing biases, not just from this particular incident that involved the death of Ahmaud Arbery, but just the pattern of biases from this particular homeowner not pursuing that same method of calling law enforcement, alerting homeowners, if you will, that someone is someone other than Ahmaud Arbery who also entered into that home, but didn't result in the same response, if you will, from this particular homeowner.
Mark, what did you think?
Well, I just thought it was interesting that the colored guy had the police called on him. I don't know. No one's ever called me colored to my face anyway. I can't remember the last time a black person has been called colored. Just generally, maybe that's the way it is in Satilla Shores. I don't know. Uh, I just thought it's interesting that he didn't have a no trespassing sign. There's no doors, there's no windows. And obviously, there are a lot of people that are kind of just exploring the property. But only when the colored guy comes in do the police get called. And it's disheartening, it's disappointing. But in many ways, that's just the way it is. And so you kind of just have to get used to the status quo and deal with it as appropriate. That's, like I said, they certainly will call the police on the colored guy.
And
Yeah,
Laverne, if
so
I can
we
add
also
to what Mr.
know,
David just said, I'm
yeah, go
sorry, if
ahead.
I can just add to what Mr. David just said, this is why the evidence of the plates are important, right? And the evidence of the social media page that the junior McMichael participates in, all of those elements create a totality of biases, and we're seeing it played out between these attorneys, from these attorneys, if you will, that these biases are continued. And even to your initial question about how they're fighting now to prevent these black figureheads, if you will, from coming into this courtroom to quote unquote now have some level of intimidation into this courtroom. There has been bias after bias after bias, even with the police investigation or the lack thereof. The initial district attorney who said that no crime was committed. And then it took months afterwards before this case was finally being prosecuted. And if you look at the law enforcement officers who have testified so far, whose investigations were initially lackluster. And so, again, this is just one more example. This particular homeowner just exemplifying those biases, saying that there's a colored person into his home. Well, that in and of itself just really illustrates the issue of bias in this entire community, from the police department to the homeowners.